It is a brand new episode of Hockey and Hounds presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. My favorite day of the week is the opportunity to talk some hockey with the head coach, John Tortorella, but also talk some hounds. I know that's his favorite part as well. Torts, you're on the road trip. We got a great dog this week, by the way, and I love the way they incorporate dog names and how people come up with them are very interesting. This is the double dog name, the Bella Ella.
76-pounder. She's beautiful.
What's the most kind of bizarre dog name you've ever given to one of yours? I had a beagle growing up, and her name was Wags because she just wagged her tail all the time.
Yeah.
So she was Wags.
One of my favorite names, and we have a 14-year-old right now. I like it's Jack.
Yeah, just a regular human name.
Yeah, just a regular human name. I like those names. And Jack is one of ours, 14 years old and still banging away. So,
what breed?
Mixed breed, pity, cattle dog. Oh God, he's one of the smartest dogs. Hound in him. We found him in Florida. My wife was at our vet. And she heard a tail whacking away in a cage in the back. Yeah, exactly.
Morse code.
Jack and another one, a sibling of his, the mom was just run over. And so the vet had these two. And my wife, as usual, whenever there's something going on in the back of that vet room, one comes home with us. So that's how we started with Jack.
Go in, get 3 adopted, one's coming home with you.
Oh, God, yeah. And the other one had a broken leg. We helped with the leg, and we found a home for that one. So it was really, really cool. It was great.
Oh, that's fantastic. Let's get to your club. You've been on the road. On the road trip, you got 3 games in the books already. You have an overtime win. You have a regulation loss against Calgary, and then an overtime loss. You have a shootout win, against Vancouver. How would you assess the trip here 3 games in?
Yeah, I like the way we've played. I thought last night, I thought both teams were a little sloppy. I thought the game was officiated sloppy, which added to it. I like our energy. I like what some of the kids are doing. Our power play is beginning to find its way. I think Mishkov's had a little bit to do with that. I think Lutsenko on the second unit has helped that unit. I think we're giving up a little bit too much. I think one of the biggest weaknesses of our game in the first 3 is we just haven't killed plays. We've allowed teams to play a little bit in our end zone when they do have the puck there going east to west. We got to do a better job of being stiffer and killing plays. But overall, I'm happy with the club and how they played.
Torts, one of the things you mentioned after the Calgary game, you really liked your team's energy in that game, especially on a back-to-back. You pump 40 shots on them. You come away with the loss, but you liked your team's, their effort and what they put out there. But you did mention that if you're not getting those chances off the rush, you have got to generate offense and high-danger chances off the forecheck and in the zone, getting more bodies to the net, tip chances, rebounds, taking away goalies' eyes. How do you work on that? How do you work on that in practice?
Yeah, we spent a good part of the other day. We had probably a 50, 55-minute practice, and a lot of it was spent on that. Had some good drills, but damn, I watch our team. We just don't touch pucks. We're not a team that tips pucks well. And so how do you work on it? Just that, by working on it. Like I told the club last night or prior to the game, that it's hard to slow down a practice to work on tip-ins, to be in front of a goalie. So I'm asking them to take a little time on their own before practice, after practice. I've talked to Angelo, our skills coach, to incorporate that into his repertoire as far as when there's players out there early. I think it's important because I love how quick we play. I think we were one of the quickest teams playing last year in transition. But as I said at the end of the year, we were nowhere to be found as far as playing on the inside when we needed to in April. And that was a responsibility of mine to have our team ready to do that, and we weren't. So how do you work on it? Work on it.
Yeah.
And hopefully
put in the time.
Yeah, put in the time. And Jason, I do think it's a little bit of a mindset too for guys wanting to be in those areas.
That's not a skill, Torts. That's a will.
Yeah, it's a mental skill for me.
Yeah.
Is getting there. And listen, I don't want to take away our transition game, because I think we've really found ourselves that way. I think that's a big part of our team, but you have to be able to play different ways. And I didn't do a good enough job last year, and we're going to work on it at the beginning of this year, where we can play different ways with different momentums of games.
And the tip opportunities, if they don't go in, most likely the goalie's not corralling a rebound. So there's another opportunity off the tip, which is always a good element of it. You ever consider bringing in Joe Pavelski's retired? He's one of the great tippers in the history of the game.
We talked about Joe 2 days ago when we were practicing, in where Joe tips pucks. He's not inside. He doesn't have his hand. He is out there. Mm-hmm. He's out there. And it creates more of a problem for a goalie. I had Dilly, our goaltending coach, talk to our team during our practice the other day on what goalies see. And you tell your guys to go to the net and being in the area, okay, coach, I'm going, and they're sitting on the goalie. And all the goalie does is sit on you. You play goal. All the goalie does is sit on the player that's trying to screen, and the puck doesn't get redirected anywhere. It's basically right into the goalie. Joe's one of the best at coming by in front of the net, maybe 5-10 feet out in front, with his stick out front where the D can't check him. That's where he gets that's where he's gotten a lot of his deflection goals in his career. So we're trying to incorporate, Dilly's talking about what goalies feel, using examples like Joe Pavelski. So I don't want us to turn us into a tip machine. I just want that to be part of our game. Because I think it needs to be, because I think that's where we failed in April last year.
You got to have that variance in the way you attack a team. Speaking of tip, let's talk about Owen Tippett. And my question about Owen Tippett is really simple. We see the unbelievable skating, the athleticism that he displays, the shot. Needs probably to hit the net and a little more finish to his game. But the thing with Owen, you love to coach the mind. Does Owen Tippett know how good and skilled he is? And is that an element that, if he becomes aware of that, can help him take that next step?
I think he's beginning to figure that out a little bit. Tip's a funny one for me, and sometimes I don't know if he's working hard enough, or is he working hard enough, and that's just his personality, because he's such a quiet guy, a great kid,
reserved.
And just doesn't show a bunch, right? He just. But I think he has an inner intensity about him. I've talked to him right from the get-go this year that I'd like to see his personality change a little bit when he puts the uniform on. I just want to see more intensity. And like he led our team in hits the other night with 9 hits. I'd rather him score a couple of goals and maybe have 6 hits. Last night he has a great chance maybe to put the game away and knock them down when he hits the post. He's a little bit snake bitten there. But I still think, for me, he teeters for me right now in through the minutes of the game, his readiness. I want him more I just want him more involved. And it's a hard read for me. And him and I have gone back and forth on this, because he's hard to read, because he doesn't show you a whole bunch. But I know there's an inner intensity about him. So really important guy, 28 goals last year. We want to get him to believe in that, he can score 35, 40. He walks in on Calgary the other night on a 2-on-1 where all he has to do is shoot the puck. He's got such a great shot, and he passes. The D takes the pass away. It turns into a non-scoring chance where it was right at the beginning of the third period where we could have tied the game up. So, I wanted to be more selfish that way. He works at his game, but he has the ability to be a really good player. I don't want him to be good. He has a chance to be a great player. And so that's a work in progress as we're going through here.
Yeah, I see him as a player that at points in the game where you need a guy to just go out and give you a shift with their hair on fire, that he can go out there and give you a shift and he can do it on his own.
That's the thing with him. It's a really good point you make. Sometimes he doesn't. You're trying to match people for some chemistry, to create scoring chances. Tip can do it on his own. I watched him just turn up in the middle of the ice last night. and take off. And it's so effective. And when he takes on a D, that's a tough job for a D as far as when he's coming down with speed. So if we just got to try to get him that first goal, and I think it'll relax him a little bit. But I want him to work on his consistency as far as his mental intensity as he approaches a game. I think he needs to change his personality when he plays a game.
Yeah, put the helmet on and go, I'm going to go out there and dominate right now. Like I mentioned, you're someone that loves to coach the mind. And what is that process like to try and unlock maybe the biggest, impediment to a player's success sometimes is right between their ears? What's that like, that process of a player that you see thinking too much or thinking in the game and unlocking that? And is that process different for a young player versus a veteran?
To me, it's not young player or veteran. It's just it's different players have different mindsets, are different people, and it's a hard question to answer because you're talking about the mind, and it's one of the most interesting parts to coaching now as a veteran coach. I've given a lot of I've talked about this, I've given a lot of the X's and O's to my assistant coaches. And I'm working on the standard and the mindset and just how you approach things. And it's one of the most interesting ones because you just don't know what button to push because it's locked in the head. So that's a feel. For me, it's a feel. I don't think it's a handbook and you read about it and say, okay, that's how you do it. I don't think it's a drill book. I think it's a feel. And that's how I go about it. If I'm trying to get someone mentally unlocked or even more mentally, as we're talking about Tip, more mentally engaged, more consistently, it's just watching what's going on. So it's a read. It's a read, and it's my stomach. And I've made mistakes, but I think that's the only way you can coach that is to watch it, feel it, see it, and to me, it's the spontaneous type coaching. It's not handbook coaching. It's spontaneous as far as what's going on that specific time in the game.
Yeah, definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. You approach every.
Can't be.
Realizing every player is different in their mindset and their skill set and everything else. Let me ask you about Lechenko, because you've been very effusive in your praise of him. His speed is something we saw right away in development camp. We're just like, whoa, look, this kid can move. Yeah. And the physical specimen that he is already at such a young age, I would assume that if we gave him some sodium pentothal, some truth serum, he would have said that I'm probably not going to be where he is right now when he entered camp, coming in as a 13th overall pick. But he's earned everything he's gotten. What has it been like kind of, guiding him along the way here? Because it's not like he's got this huge support system around him, living, and he's 18. Yeah. I don't know if he knew how to pay an electric bill.
What were you doing when you were 18? Were you playing in the highest league every game and nope. Facing off, starting a game against McDavid?
No, I was giving up goals towards, but not against guys like McDavid.
Yeah. But that the way I look at him, and we talked about it as a coaching staff when you have two teenagers here, and quite honestly, Jamie Drysdale is another one that's a very young player, not as young as them, but hasn't played a lot of games in this league, has been injured quite a bit his first few years. And I think it's kind of been catered to a little bit, Jamie. But you put those three guys in there, and you got to pick and choose. I could give Lechenko 10 clips last night. We could sit down this morning here and go over some of 10 clips of some of the things that we need to teach him, right? But we'll probably give him 2 or 3, and I think that's the feel of it all is how much do you give this young guy? How much correcting do you do? Because you don't want to take his instinctive play away. I think he's the thing with Luch is I think he understands the play away from the puck. He made some mistakes last night. There are a number of them where he's out of position, and but I think he has a really good foundation for an 18-year-old in the National Hockey League. I start him last night. I know they're going to start McDavid. I start him last night. I get the first whack at the lineup, right? You put him in, and I'm starting Lutsenko's line. I want him to take a look at McDavid right away, and that game starts. And he probably played half the minutes. McDavid played 24 minutes. He probably played half of the minutes against him. I want him to see that, and I want him to feel that, and then we'll slowly go about looking at some of the things that he did in that game, but not give it all to him. It's so encouraging to watch him and watch Mish play as far as what this organization needs, as far as Mish is definitely already dynamic as an offensive guy.
Yeah.
I want Luch to try to take a chance and create more offense, not fall off on some of the things he's really good at now defensively, but I want him to take a chance offensively and explore himself that way to get better offensively. So those are the kind of the things we talk about and watch, but to watch him skate on top of the ice, watch him track back when he ends up being third man high but ends up going too low, but to watch him come back and not let that be an odd man rush coming back at us. It's really cool to watch teenagers doing that and watch maybe where this Philadelphia Flyer organization could be here in a couple of years.
Speed is a great thing. It can erase a lot, and he's got a ton of it. I get the sense towards that he is not, and when I say not, I'm all caps, N-O-T, a player that repeats mistakes very often.
You know, you sit and talk with him. Like Shazi talked to me yesterday. He sat and talked to me about a couple of things, and just a conversation back at Shazi knew right away that there's an intelligence there. And I watch, you talk about the mind. I watch. He makes a mistake the other night when it was against Vancouver. I think Bluger scored a goal in the back door. That's his guy. He got beat to the net, off the wall, got beat to the net. I watch him come off the ice, and it's not panic. It's okay. I'm going to sit down, get ready for my next shift. He wasn't affected. At least it looked like to me that he wasn't affected by that. I'm going to get ready for my next shift. I'm going to go at it again. I want him and Mish and Jamie to understand it's a game of mistakes. You just can't let that mistake fester into something that blows you out of the water for the next 5 shifts. Those are the things when you're looking at young guys that you're really looking at. Jamie's ground zero for me as far as how to play the game. I don't think he knows how to play the game. Yeah. I don't think he understands positioning. I don't think he understands stick position. I don't think he understands momentums of games. He's raw, and that's the fun part of coaching is the teaching of it. And
he's a lump of clay. You get the mold.
And so I'm anxious to see how they handle some of the teaching. I think that's when you get into the back and forth with a player, and but it's exciting for me to see teenagers and what we're trying to do and build this team, what you can forecast maybe in a couple of years. And we are a couple of years away.
Yep.
We can't sign free agents. We've talked about this. We can't. We've got to get our whole business part of it situated. That's going to take a couple more years. But to see these guys in our organization and some other draft picks that we saw during development camp and project what it's going to be, it's exciting.
I like to see Jamie protect himself a little better when he's rushing up through the neutral zone. Bit.
He's got to. It's a big
it's
problem
incumbent upon him.
Yeah, it is. It's a big problem in the National Hockey League. No one thinks they're going to get hit because it's kind of turned into a no-hit league, or that's what it seems like it's become. I'm not sure if the rules. I think the rules come into play there, but if there's a flipper and you're looking to stay underneath it, you're going to get hit. Put yourself in a better position. When he comes across the middle the other night, you're going to get hit. Some reporter asked me, "Did you think they were targeting him?" I said, "What? It's not targeting. It's a body check."
Yeah,
and quite honestly, they were two clean checks.
Yeah.
But what's going on in the league here is people don't think they need to protect themselves from hits because it has become a no-hit league.
Yeah, a lot of that's coming up through the other leagues now, and it's feeding into the NHL too.
Really bad habits that way.
You got to have a head on a swivel. You got to understand what's coming at you. George, you had all these meetings over the summer, power play. A lot of people pipe it in, and then all of a sudden you find out, well, we got Michkov coming over. He's going to be part of the power play. Could you have imagined that? 3 games into your season, you'd have 4 power play goals, and they've all been scored in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to how we're doing this year with Johnny Leclerc, Sharpie. Danny's going to be involved in some of these meetings. We're going to try to do it monthly as far as the power play and some of the other guys that are in that meeting. But it's funny what happens is when you get a dynamic guy, what happens to your power play? You get that skill level and that vision. And for me, the biggest thing with Misha is his patience, just holding on to pucks and waiting for something to open up.
It's disgusting, frankly.
I think it's something you cannot teach.
No.
It is so that helps a power play. Everybody's up Rocky's ass, right, about the power play. It helps when you get a dynamic guy to settle things down a little bit, and I think other guys feed off it. I hope it continues. I hope we keep it improving. We'll have these meetings, which is going to be a really cool dynamic, and see if we can get that into a consistent way.
Successful power play has always got to have an alpha that says, okay, we get in the zone, we get set up, it runs through me.
Give me the puck.
I'm the man. Yeah. Get me the puck on the half wall where I want it, whatever it is, right? Whether it's your point guy, your guy on the half wall. It was Drew on the half wall for years here. But that guy, when we get in the zone, it starts with me. I determine how we attack. But you guys, power play goal in the first game. You slip a guy behind the defense. You did it right before that, too, with Frost and had that chance from
yes.
And then you score the goal. Forster gets it on the one-touch pass from Farabee behind the D, so that collapses them a little bit. Yeah. The second power play goal, you get the little bumper pass with everybody's mesmerized by Meach and his patience at the side of the net, and then he just tees up Konechny for a one-timer. Yeah. And then obviously in the game last night, he stuffs one. I think he's going to score more goals in the league with his feet below the goal line than anybody, Tors. He thinks he can score from anywhere.
Yeah, he likes playing in that area. He likes being around the net.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to be in that area. He's interesting. He's blocking shots. He's picked up
total buy-in.
Some of our coverages, like some of our coverages where pucks are a certain area in our end zone, are maybe a little bit different than some other teams do it, and he's picked it right up. And so he's 19. So I'm like Danny said. We're so happy we got him early, right?
Yeah.
We got him maybe a year or two early, so we can start working with them. And he certainly started off the year in the proper way.
And he's a gamer. You have all that skill, and you're a gamer, like a guy who wants to get after it. Last thing for you before we get to our dog this week, and I actually have some good news for you that we'll deliver in a second as well regarding our dog last week. But Sam's giving you exactly what you need in net.
Sam's played well.
Situational saves, big times.
Yeah,
he's really hit the ground running.
Yeah, we talked about him all last year in this show about his mental aptitude and toughness, and and I still, I said at the beginning of the year, I'm worried about our goaltending position. Mm-hmm. It's not, and when I say that, it's not worried about Sam as a person. I don't know Fedotov enough to worry or not worry. I just haven't seen him play enough. I know Sam, and I'm just worried about where he was going, and his progression was perfect. We were going along, and now he gets thrown into being the number one guy. And you've been a goalie. It changes your mindset. It changes the pressure of that position. That's what I'm worried about, and that's what I'm watching. And you're not going to find out about that, 10, 15 games in. As the season goes on, that's when you find out about the guy that I think has been forced into position with the Carter situation, been forced a little bit quicker than we thought it would be in progressing.
Well, the one thing that I was really impressed by is I asked him what he worked on this summer with his game, and he said, I worked on the mental part.
Yeah.
Not letting one game turn into two. I was like spot on.
Yeah, I like him. I watch him walk on the bus, and he's got outfits on. He's got white runners on, and he's got he has some swagger, and I think it's the right type of swagger for that. That's such a crazy position in a team sport. He's got the right type of swagger. So
is there a little Hank in him?
Yeah. I gotta. Hank was when Hank established himself. Hank was Hank. And
Superstar.
I think Urs still is a little bit quieter. He doesn't wear the clothes Hank wears yet. Hank had some pretty dandy outfits going on there for a while, and still does. But Urs has a style to him, and I love his mindset because I don't think it's crossed the line. I think you have to have arrogance, but there's the right type of arrogance, and I think he's right there. And that's what I look for. I don't know anything about the position, but I look for how he carries himself, and I think he's doing a terrific job in a graveyard of goalies in Philly. That's a tough city to be in as a goalie. I think he's handled himself very well.
Yeah, totally agree. Your brother was a goalie. You got to know a little bit by osmosis. All right, Torts, let's get to the Hounds portion of the show. But before we get to the dog this week, I do have good news for you. And I know you love good news. I've just been informed that our dog last week, Missy, is dog 71 that we have had adopted.
Oh, that is fantastic.
In 1 week. Yes.
Oh, Smitty just gave me a picture. Oh, look at her. She's so ragged out, and she looks, oh, that's fantastic. That is great news.
Yep. That dog hasn't missed any meals. We're going to get her a little, put her on the Torts rope test plan, get her training, make her get up and down the ice.
Her eyes, I don't know if it's the video or the eyes just caught me last week that something went wrong there, right? We a lot of times we don't know the what's happened to these dogs now that they're stuck. That makes my day.
Yeah.
That makes my day. Fantastic.
If I went and saw that dog, the eyes would have forced me to leave with that dog. Just the look in those eyes. Our dog this week comes to us from Philly PAWS, and the dog's name is Bella Ella. Now, she's a female, approximately 5 to 6 years old, mixed breed. Obviously, a little bit of a pit bull in her. I'm going to put the video up now so you can see this as well. But she's an absolute look. I mean, look at this dog with the toy, the big rope toy. Oh, awesome!
Look at her.
Great muscle structure in Bella. This dog's in its prime. Oh, now, 76-pounder. That's good. That's good size up front.
That's a good lap dog.
Yeah. That's a tweener. We call that a tweener. Not too big to crush you, but small enough to definitely get up on the bed or up on the couch with you. She came to her from PAWS, and you talk about sometimes we don't know why these dogs come and are up for adoption. We do hear her owner passed away. Oh, and gosh. This is something I think about all the time. I'm like, God, if I passed away, like, what would my dog be like? Where are you? You know, those kind of things. This dog's probably heartbroken. And we got to find her a home. She's got a lot of life left in her. Just absolutely beautiful.
She is being fostered?
She currently is in foster care. That's great news. Yeah. She's not in the facility, but she is being fostered. But we need to take that next step and get Bella Ella a forever home because, again, she has so much life in front of her. This is a dog in its prime.
In reading all her stats here, and she has no problems with other dogs, it doesn't seem like, right? I think they would so what are we waiting for?
Yeah, let's get this done.
Yeah, boy, she's beautiful. She's even, as far as I see the picture, but then I watch the video. Yeah. She doesn't look 76 pounds. She looks smaller.
Yeah. Tight in the waist, really good muscle up front, great head. Absolutely.
No problems. I always check if dogs have problems with other animals because I think that holds back. I think that holds back people because they're worried about their existing animals at home. And there is no notes in here, Smitty, as far as that's concerned. So.
Calm dogs.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good thing. If you have another dog and you bring a dog in its prime like this dog, I mean, it's got the energy to play. It's going to reinvigorate this dog's life in a huge way. So we are looking for a home for Bella Ella. For all the information on all the dogs on Hockey and Hounds, go to the homepage at philadelphiaflyers.com/hockey and hounds. Again, it's philadelphiaflyers.com/hockey and hounds. And PAWS has an event coming up, an adoption event at the Siaco Subaru of Philadelphia. Adoptable dogs and cats are going to be available. That's coming up on the 26th of October from noon to 2 p.m. Again, at Siaco Subaru at 1400 South 33rd Street in Philadelphia. And Paul's Foster Night is also coming up on October 29th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the American Sardine Bar on Federal Street in Philadelphia. You can find out how you can help foster dogs or cats for PAWS while they wait to find their forever home. We talk about fostering a lot towards.
Yeah.
That's a big step for these dogs to get them out. Get them out of the cages and get them with a family.
Well, it gives them a chance. It gives them a fair chance because as much as, these shelters do such a great job and the people are fantastic. But when people go visit the dogs there, it gets a little crazy, right? And you really don't know what the personality of the dog is. For people to take their time and to foster dogs, to give them a fair chance, it's such a huge, what is the word, conduit to get to a forever home, because then they're themselves. There's not it's just so
stress.
hard. Yeah, it is. You go into those. I go into the shelters and you leave there. It's fantastic. They're saved and they're safe. They're being fed, but it's not sometimes, and you don't get a good look when you're looking to adopt a dog at what that dog is really about. So that's where the fostering is so important.
Well, my goal is that when we meet next week for Hockey and Hounds, that we've got Bella Ella, her forever home. I think we can do it. I think I got faith in this audience that they're going to do it. And Bella Ella,
they've come through. They've come through the past year.
We haven't missed one yet. PhiladelphiaFlyers.com/hockey and hounds. Torts, have a great week. You'll be returning home. That'll be nice. Get the home opener on Saturday.
Okay, man. Talk to you then.